All right, good morning and welcome to another episode of the Liberty Dad Podcast, a discussion on politics and culture. I'm your host, DL, America's most objective libertarian. If you're tuning in live, thank you so much for giving me your time so early. All right, remember, this show does not run on those freedom fumes. I don't even know that they exist. So if you're watching me on Rumble, smash that green dollar sign anytime during the show to drop a Rumble rant. It's kind of like, tossing good old dad a cold one, at 7:38 in the morning. It keeps the vibes high and the mics on. And if you want to go in, just go ahead and click that subscribe button for $5 a month. Your support helps me fight the good fight. All right, let's get into this. Oh, you know what? I feel like I might have adjusted my settings on the microphone and it seems to be cutting off. I don't know. Let me know if at some point you hear like I start talking and it like in the very like if there's a pause and then I start talking and then like maybe you don't hear the sound as loud right at the very beginning. Just let me know. I might have set the settings off. But anyway, we are back to regularly scheduled programming. Okay. This week I've had some work things come up and I had to uh, focus on those. So there's a couple of shows that didn't happen. And, but we're back and I think we're going to be good to go moving forward. So we're good. In fact, speaking of the programming, let me show you this here because I know that, I'm always telling you guys like, go check me out, promote the show, so on and so forth. This helps the channel, help me grow, all that good stuff. And that Liberty Lady who's not in the chat right now likes to keep tabs on where we are. So just in the interest of letting you guys know, where we are, here's on the screen, here is the criteria that I need to meet to make it to the next level for monetization on YouTube. And with your help, I will get there. All right, so we're showing that there's two criterias here, right? This is the top one, and then you have to hit both of those. So you have to have at least 500 subscribers, and I have 718. So thank you to all 718 of you. I can't thank you enough. This is phenomenal. And then 3 video uploads in the last 90 days. That basically, because I stream every day, Monday through Friday, that basically just stays at 3. So we're good to go there, no problems. And then it says, and one of the following, okay? So I have to have 3,000 valid public watch hours. Now you might be asking, like, what does valid mean? I don't know exactly what constitutes valid public watch hours. But I have 2,786. So that puts me at, let's see, 4 will take me up to 90, and then 10 will take me up to 800. So 214 more public watch hours. And then I will make the new criteria where I can do like super chats. And I think it allows me to add a store. And I've been trying to work on some merchandise that maybe you could buy that's kind of cool. Like I don't want to just do lame chintzy stuff. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm not gonna be like, hey, here's a dumb corny slogan. Although I guess if you want to buy a dumb corny slogan, you can see that I'm not a salesperson. Okay, but anyway, I am actually working on some ideas, and it goes very slow when it comes to designing things like T-shirt, a cup, whatever. Just because I'm not creative in that space. It is a lot of work for me. So I am creating some stuff so that you can help support the show. Because your support, whether you watch, whether you send a Rumble rant, whether you, donate to me via my Patreon or buy me a coffee, or, or you just tell people. You're like, man, you got to check out this podcast. It's Liberty Dad, all one word. Go check it out. Dude's got some awesome stuff. He talks about anything and everything, and he's a pretty smart guy, right? Like that helps out the show. So all the help that you guys do goes toward growing this channel. and I appreciate it more than I can ever convey to you. All right. So enough of that. It's Friday. You know what that means, right? That means it's Dad Talk Day. Yeah. Okay. How about this? It's Friday. It's Friday. That means we're doing another Dad Talk. And I need to find a better clip. I'm going to go look for a good, cool clip that kind of like represents Dad Talk Day. And then we could be like, it's Friday. And then I can like hit a button and it'll be like, something. I don't know, something. We'll figure it out. So this is my Dad Talk Day where I kind of step away from the politics and somewhat the culture, not as much. I try to just focus in on dad stuff, like being a dad, or a husband, or even a man necessarily. But just, I get away from the politics at least. And so if I have an opportunity, I bring a dad on to talk about what's important to him. I don't happen to have a dad right now. I've been talking to a couple dads. We'll see if we can't work to get them on the show. That'll be so exciting. So, and if you are a dad, let me know. I would love to have you. You might say, well, DL, I don't do anything. If you're a dad and you're being a dad and it's important to you and you got something you want to talk about, just let me know. I'll bring you on the show. Okay. And like, you could just be like, I can't, maybe let's say you have a 2-year-old and you're like, I can't wait till they grow up and I can get with them. I could take them on my fishing trips with me. And then we want to have a show all about you going fishing with your kid. That's awesome. I'm all about it. Let's make it happen. Right. And the idea is that you are important as a father and your aspirations with your child are important, even if the aspirations don't seem exciting, right? You're like, I just like fishing and I can't wait to enjoy spending time fishing with my son or my daughter. That's awesome. That's the mark of a good father. And it doesn't have to be, it could be fishing. It could be, maybe you're into gaming and you're like, man, I can't wait till my son, grows up and we could play. I don't know the latest video game, so pardon my age here. I can't wait till we get up and play. He grows up and we could play Call of Duty. Okay, cool. That's awesome. Like, I think the idea of a father spending time with their son is awesome. Last night, my son, we actually got done with dinner a little bit early. And so we had time before it was that time for my son to go and take a shower. And I said, hey, man, you want to go with me to take Honey for a walk, our dog Honey? And he's like, yeah, let's go. So we went and took a walk. And as we were walking, I realized that we were going to get back and we were still going to have a little extra time before he had to go and get ready for bed. And he has been really into chess lately, like really into chess. He's like wanting to watch videos about it. He wants to play chess. And just, And so I would just kind of throw it out there. I was like, hey, when we get back, you want to play a game of chess? And he's like, yes. I was like, all right. So we get back and he's excited. He's like ready to play. He's like, we're going to play chess, Dad. And so we played a really quick game of chess. Turns out, if you're familiar with the, I think it's called the Scholar's Mate. If you're not, if you're nice about it, they actually, your child who's learning about chess will be really excited to learn it. Because I didn't do it quite in 4 moves. I didn't checkmate him in 4 moves, but I did it in probably like, probably like 6 or 7. There were a couple of other moves that got in my way. But it was a quick game. I did that on purpose. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, want to play chess? And I will try to mate you in like 4. And so it was like 6 or 7 moves. And he was like, I was like, checkmate. And he was like, what? And because like he's used to the game going on longer. And he was like, what in the world? And I was like, all right. I was like, it's a fast way to win. I said, let me show you how to do this. And so we turned the board around, and then I like walked him through it. And so then we walked through it, and he was able to. And so he was like, oh, and I was like showing him, Now, if you don't know what the Scholar's Mate is, it's basically where you move the pawn that's in front of your king out, and then on either side of your king, you have a bishop, and then you have a queen, and then they both can move diagonally, and then you basically set them up to come in and checkmate the king in just a handful of moves. So that's what that is if you're not familiar with it. So he was excited to learn about it. And of course, I wasn't being mean-spirited or anything. It was just we were having a little bit of fun. So, that's the idea of where was I going with that story? I don't even remember why I was telling you that story. So, but anyway, so the well, oh yeah. Okay, I was like, really, like, well, how did I get on this story? So, the idea of taking interest in your kids is a great thing. So, if you want to come on the show and you just want to talk about how you can't wait for your child to grow up and play chess with you, bring it on. We'll have you on. So anyway, now before I forget what I'm talking about, let's move on. All right, so today, what I want to talk about, I want to give you another reason. There's many reasons, but I want to give you another reason that fathers are so important. And that's because they inspire their children to grow and excel by expressing genuine pride in their efforts and achievements. Okay? Now, I'm going to warn you. I try to hold my composure on this show. Sometimes I get a little bit passionate and I don't hold my composure in that sense. In the opposite direction, I may have trouble holding my composure today. We'll see. I mean, I was putting the show together and I choked up a little bit just putting the show together at 6 a.m. while sipping on coffee and cooking the family breakfast. But we'll see. We will see. I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna put on my best dad face today. Okay? So there's a video clip that was going around of Steve Harvey. And it moved me. And so did some of the comments. So we're going to check out the video in the first half. Watch this video. I'll give you some commentary, some thoughts about it. And then in the second half of the show, I will show some of the comments. And then I'll end with some of my own thoughts. Okay? So let's play that video. Go over to Dad TV here real quick. Boom, we're at Dad TV. And then let's play this video.
When a man's father dies, he realizes that the one man who truly wanted him to be better than him is gone. Your father is the only man that has ever wanted you to be better than him. There ain't another man living wants you to be better than him. Bruh.
I've never heard that.
There's no one. Your father is the only man who wanted you to be better than him. I love you, man, but I don't want you to be better than me. Ryan crazy about you, but he ain't finna want you to be better than him.
That's real.
Your father wants you to be better than him.
I want you to think about that for a second. Let's pause it for a second. Like, I just talked about chess. So I am not a great chess player. I can hold my own if you're not too good. But I just want you to think about it. Like, I would love for my son to be a better chess player than me. Like, just think about it. Like, I actually not only would love it, I actually want it. Right? Like, I want him to be better than me. This is not it's not just a matter of, yeah, you did well, son. I didn't realize that you were going to go that far. Right. And that's important too. I think there's a good, healthy value in being surprised at how well your kid does. Maybe not always, but like, wow, that was really surprising. Like, that was awesome. Like, there's a place for that. But I think just in terms of, actually wanting them versus just, yeah, that's cool. No, wanting. I actively want my son to be better than me at virtually everything he does. He's learning to read. I want him to be a better reader than me. He has a little bit of, I'm a pretty good reader. So in that particular sense, he's got a bit of, a ways to go. But I want him to be a better reader than me. When it comes to sports, he's probably already there. I am not good at sports at all. So he is definitely already better than me at sports. Like when he got involved in soccer like a couple of years ago, I had to go and look up things so I even knew what was happening in the game. So he like just the bare minimum there of him knowing how to play the game. He was already better than me, right? And then his athletic skill. Well, then like he's made some goals, even though other kids were trying to stop him. Okay, well, he's already beat me in that sense too. I've never made a goal in soccer. I can't remember, but I don't play a lot. But I've never made a goal in soccer, and where I had to get past other players. I don't think I have. I might have, and if I did, it was like one or two, but he's done several. So he's already better than me in that sense, and that makes me proud. I'm excited. Like, yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that you could be better than me. But I not only glad, I want him. When he got into basketball, he wasn't doing as well as I thought he could do. And so I was like, all right, we're going to do some practice. So I came home and I was helping him practice. I downloaded some, we watched a YouTube video of a basketball game. And I was kind of showing him, like, all right, see what that guy's doing, see what this guy's doing, so on and so forth. And so I was actively working with him to help him become better, not just better than he was, but even better than me, right? It like, I'll tell you, when I was a young kid, I played on a basketball team once, okay, was it the Catholic school that I went to? I think it was the Catholic school that I went to. And we lost a game where I played, I think, a few minutes in like the third quarter or something like that. I only played for a few minutes in the latter half of the game. And I didn't do so well. And then we lost. And then my teammates blamed me for losing. And at the time, it kind of hurt. Now I look back and I'm like, the hell you were blaming me for? I was only in for a couple of minutes. If I was that bad, you guys really sucked. Anyway, that's beside the point. But, the point here I'm trying to make is like, I want him to do better than me. Every experience that I had, I want him to have a better experience. Period. In whatever, everything. Like, name it, I want him to be better than me. Actively. It is, again, not just, yeah, it's pretty good. You did better than me. Wow, I'm proud of you, son. No, it's like, I want you to be. Now, if he's not, that's okay. There are some things for which, I will go to my grave and I will be better than him, and he will go to his grave one day and he will not have surpassed me. That's fine. Like, he's not going to surpass me in everything. But if he did, well, that's awesome. All right, let's continue listening.
And when he dies, you realize it. And what the part that fucked me so bad was, man, I don't feel like crying today.
Man,
The only thing.
How about that?
Listen, man. I didn't have nobody. When my daddy died, I didn't have nobody to say they was proud of me. It fucked me up.
I mean, I want you to think about that for a second. And he's going to talk about his wife in a minute, and I'm kind of getting ahead. So, when your dad dies, that is like that's its own impact compared to when your mom dies. Okay, they're like, both of them are valuable in their own specific ways. Right now, this is dad talk. We're talking about dads. So I just wanted to be very clear that, yes, mothers are extremely important and they play a vital role. Okay, we're only setting them aside just because of the nature of this particular show and what we're talking about. So I don't want to diminish that. But when your dad dies, like, it's almost like a part of you dies. Because think about what I said a moment ago. Your dad, if he's a good dad, he actively wants you to be better. He's going to, if you think about, if you think, like, if you're a dad, think about some of the things and how you've, taught your child, your son, your daughter, right? Maybe like riding a bike, and you're working with them and you're helping them to ride a bike. And then they're like, look, Dad, I did it. Like, when my son finally was able to push off and then ride without falling over, he was excited. And then it was, look, Dad, watch this. And he did it like 12 times in a row. Okay? Because that's what it meant to him. or that's what I meant to him as like I think he was 4, might have been 5, but like a 4 or 5-year-old, what it meant to him for his daddy to see that he could ride his bike. And all he did, now, as an adult, pushing off and riding a bike seems pretty simple. It's no big deal. I do that all the time. I've done that thousands of times. At 47, I've done it thousands of times. So it doesn't seem like a big, but he was 4 or 5. And so for him, that was a big deal. It's the first time he ever did it. I don't even remember the first time I did that, right? He, right now, that's the moment he's living in. And so for him, that was a huge achievement. And for his daddy to be there and, give him a high five and say, man, that's awesome, son. I'm proud of you. You did such a great job. Of course, he's going to be like, I'm going to show you again. I'm going to show you again. I'm going to show you again. Right? It's also, and just to cover moms as well. Look, mom, watch this. Right? There's value there. And so your child actively wants you to be proud of what they're doing. Now, it tempers as they get older, right? It's not like, today I'm 47. I don't call my dad up and be like, Dad, check this out. Not necessarily. I mean, sometimes I might. If it's something really big and important to me, I might. Okay? But, once your dad is gone, that voice, that person to be proud of you, that means that much to you is gone. I'll tell you another story real quick, and then we'll continue listening. I was reading a book a long time ago, and it was talking about the importance of fathers, and it describes this story, and I can't remember if the story was just made up just to make the point or if it was actually a real story. I can't remember. But even if it's made up, it's one that you could imagine actually happening. So this mother is making her daughter a dress. She spends like all day long, like maybe all Saturday, all weekend, whatever, right? She makes this dress. She gets it all finished. The daughter puts it on. The little girl puts it on. The mom looks at her and she's like, wow, you're so pretty. They're looking in the mirror and the little girl's beaming from ear to ear. She's, and then they both, in the story it goes, then they both look at each other. And then the mom says, let's go ask daddy. And then they both go dashing in to ask daddy. It's like dad is the final say. So then the girl goes in and he's like, wow, you're so pretty, which is basically, I'm proud of you, right? I'm proud of you for being so pretty. And I get it. As adults, we'll be like, what do you mean proud that they're pretty? That doesn't even make it. To a child, as they grow, different things will be the words that they need to hear. When they're little, telling them you have a beautiful smile, you're adorable, you're pretty, whatever. Those kind of things, those are important. They're not nearly as important today. Like my dad said, my dad or my mom, if she was alive, if they either said, you're really handsome, like maybe if I'm dressed up going somewhere, like, wow, you look really sharp, son. Okay, yeah. But in general, I don't really need to hear that, but my son does. He needs to hear that he'll come downstairs and he'll say like, Dad, does this match? Does this look good? And I'll say, yes. Or I'll say, no, son, you can't wear stripes and checkers or whatever, and then he might anyway. So it is, but those are the kind of things that that kids need to hear. And it's different at different stages. So let's continue listening. And again, just to kind of reiterate his point, once it's gone, it's gone. You don't, that's it. End of story.
Because my dad used to call me and say, man, I'm so proud of you. And when he died, man, nobody said that to me no more. Nobody. And it's kind of crazy, man. Until I married Marjorie, nobody said they was proud of me. My wife, the only person say she proud of me, man. Only person. So loser, that's what the fuck part for me was with him.
Okay. So he's talking about his wife. His wife says she's proud of him. Let me tell you, from a man's perspective, men will get this, and if you're a woman listening in, you need to know this, if you don't already. there is a massive difference between hearing your daddy say that he's proud of you and hearing your wife say that she's proud of you. Okay, massive difference. Both are important. Okay, so again, this is kind of similar to, a father has his role, a mother has her role. A father has his role when it comes to showing pride in a man. A wife has her role in expressing pride in a man, right? And I'll try to describe the difference. Okay? If a dad calls like if my dad calls me, if I'm on the phone with my dad and he's like, "Son, I checked out your last podcast episode and man, let me tell you, I am so proud of you." Like that's great to hear. Now I'm not doing it for my dad, but it's just great to hear because it makes me feel like, man, I have honored my father. Maybe not intentionally, but just through being a good person, like I have brought him honor in what I'm doing. Right? Like there's this bond. It's like this mutual respect where you just like look at each other and you just know. Okay? And then with your wife, it's a little different, right? Because I'm not trying to honor my wife necessarily. It's that she's showing me this great respect that she has for me. So it's a little different. It's like you might think of it as the difference between honor and respect, right? And so like if you like imagine that I've been working really hard on something, anything. Like maybe I'm building a fence, maybe I'm producing a podcast, maybe I'm a famous comedian, personality like Steve Harvey. Doesn't matter. And my wife comes home one day, she sees that I've gotten to some particular point, and she comes up and she grabs my hands and she's like, "Husband, I'm so proud." I mean, your wife does, yeah. She says, "DL, I'm so proud of you. You've been working so hard on this project, doing this thing. And I just want to say I'm proud of the success that you had. Whether it's a podcast, whether I'm a public personality like Steve Harvey, or whether you're just building a fence for your backyard. Your wife comes home and she's like, "I'm just so proud of you." Right? And then of course, with any luck for us men, she'll start to walk away, turn her head, wink and say, "I'll see you upstairs." There's a side point there. But the difference is she's recognizing my work, and she was able to watch and see all the hard work I put in. And so there's a certain respect that I'm getting from my wife. But I'm not getting respect so much from my dad. I mean, there's that too. But it's more like I've honored, I've done well with my legacy, right? In part. I mean, part of it's also my son feeling proud of me, or your daughter if you have one, right? But there's that. It's the difference between, I think, honor and respect. And so, and a wife, no matter how hard she tries, she will never be able to replace the father's, words of "I'm proud of you." So anyway, I just want to make that clear because they're both valuable, but it's different. And hopefully it's different. It's like I know the feeling. I just don't know that if I'm articulating it very well. Anyway, let's continue.
Cause man, like I would get him tickets. He came to all my shows, like I'd fly him out. My mother never saw me, cause she didn't want to hear me cussing. So my mother never saw me. My dad, even if the show was sold out, I'd make him take a foldaway chair and pop it up for him and my brother. And my dad would sit down there, and he was sitting next to this lady one time. She said, "Oh, well, you must be special, sir. They done put a foldaway chair in there." He said, "Yeah. You know that boy that finna come out here, Steve Harvey? That's my son. All these niggas in here done paid to see this boy right here." And my father would sit there, man. And I sent him money all the time, man. I used to send him $10,000 every week, every month, send him money. My mother said, your daddy go down there with that check in his pocket with his gun, and everybody was trying to, Mr. Harvey, where is you getting all this money from? You seen the TV show, the Steve Harvey show? They said, yeah, that's my boy right there. And that all that gave me the juice I needed. When he left, man, that fucked me.
All right. So I want to point out something. I don't know Steve Harvey. I don't know his father. But I can say this. When his dad walked, to the bank or whatever with that check proudly in his pocket, it wasn't about the money. It was like that. That's not it at all. It could have been a $10 check. Okay. I mean, the 10,000 obviously makes it, a bigger deal, but it's not really about the money. It's about my son is doing so well. And as a father, you feel pride in the fact that you have raised your child well. So if I'm old, if I'm, let's say 80, right, and my son is doing well, and let's say he sends me some checks. It's not the money. I care about the money, right? It's going to be like, man, I raised my son so well, that he was able to go on and be super successful, and he didn't forget his family, right? Like it's not about the money. The money is just kind of like, it symbolizes what has been achieved. It's not the money in itself. Nobody's like, no good person at least is going to be like, yeah, $10,000, I'm proud of you. $50, I'm not proud of you. That no good person says that, because they recognize that $50, is your son or your daughter being mindful of their family and saying, I now want to help you. Because when I was growing up, it was my dad's responsibility to take care of me. And then at some point, it kind of becomes the child's responsibility to take care of them. My mother-in-law lives with us, and we take care of her left and right. That's our job. And one of the reasons that we can do that is because our parents raised us well. So it's kind of like this cycle. Okay? Let me put it in a different context. This one got me in the feels a long time ago. I used to mentor a kid here in Jacksonville. And I would meet up with him like every Sunday, and we would sometimes go out and eat, and we'd just talk, or maybe we'd go somewhere, whatever. We'd just do different things. And he aged out, if you will. He became an adult, and then he moved on, and he moved out west, and then eventually moved back. And when he moved back, he reached out, and he was like, hey, man. He's like, I'd like to get together for lunch. I was like, all right. And we went out to lunch, and he said, once upon a time, you paid for me, but now I'm a man. I'm going to pay for you. And that hit me in the feels, because I was like, man, I did this kid right. And like, I could pay for my lunch. It's not an issue. But it hit me in the feels just because knowing, like, in that short amount of time that I did this kid well, to the point where he was able to go out and be successful enough to buy a guy lunch, right? Like, I contributed to that. And that made me feel good, And again, it's not about the money. It was just about the fact that he recognized, two things. Like, one, he was able to. So in that sense, I contributed. I mean, he did the work. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking away from his efforts. He did the work. He had to, become an adult and go on and, hold down a job and all those good things. And so all of that is on him. Like, he did a great job. But I contributed to that. And so that made me feel, and that's how a father feels when their son does better than them. Right. And so it's very reciprocal. There's this cycle, okay? And then you pass that cycle on to your son or your daughter, and then they do the same thing for their child, right? And then it continues on. You've heard about like generational curses, and that somebody breaks the curse, like maybe abuse. Maybe somebody's parent abuses them, and then they're like, I'm breaking this cycle. And they're like, because the way we parent carries on. What do you want that carry on to be? And if that carry on is good, then it makes you feel good. And there's a bit of selfishness, I guess, if you're in there in a positive sense. Right? But that's what it means to be proud of your kid. It's just this plethora of emotions. You did well. They did well. They're going to do by their kids hopefully better. Like, I am trying to raise my son better than my parents raised me. You might say, that sounds kind of terrible. No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. My mom, I just talked about abuse. My mom was heavily abused when she was a child. And she said, that will not happen in this house. And now I got spanked, but, and I know some of my libertarian peers will will object to that. But I get very sensitive when we talk about spanking, because I recognize that even considering that I got spanked, my mom broke a curse because she wanted to do better by me. And then she wanted to do better than her parents by the way that she raised me. I want to do better than my parents by how I raise my son. And if I do this right, then my son, when he has children, will try to raise his children better than me. How do you think we get to this better world? That's how we create it. By trying to do better than our parents. And your dad, if he is a proper dad, he will want you to do better than him. I promise you, my dad, if he were to find out that I was a better dad than he was, and this is not diminishing him, just I stepped up the game a little bit, he will be proud of me for that. Promise you. And when my son has a child, if he raises his child better than I raised him, I will be proud of him. Period. 100%. Because that's the nature of being a parent, more specifically, being a dad. All right, let me see here. Let's get to a comment or two, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll come back. We'll talk about comments that I saw online that accompanied this video. So we've got my VA lady says, DL be making me cry this morning. Look, I almost choked up myself. I'm trying not to, okay? We're going to do our best around here. But, hey, if it's got to happen, it's got to happen. She also points out, Dad Talk is also defending other dads against the feminist goofs who like to dismiss men. Yes, Dad Talk is here. The reason I do this is my way of pushing back against the negative feminism. I don't think that all feminism is bad, but there is a negative aspect out there. And rather than getting mad and be like, oh, you terrible women, blah, 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 and all this other stuff, I'm like, you know what? I don't need to do that. I don't need to tear somebody else down to bring somebody to. I don't need to tear one person down to bring another person up. I only need to work on bringing the other person up. So I'm bringing dads up with this show. So I talk about dad things. I talk about man things. I talk about husband things, as a way to build up men in general. And specifically to fathers, if you're a dad and you want to be on this show and you want to talk about something, doesn't matter what it is, something that's important to you, let me know. We'll bring you on. That's the whole point of this. That is why I do this. Okay? And let me see here. I'm trying to do a couple things here. So that's the purpose of this show. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. That's the purpose of Dad Talk, is to build up men and to give them something to aspire to. All right, so that's that for the comments. let's go to intermission, then we'll come back and I'll show you some of the commentary around this video that we just watched. So we'll be right back in just a moment.
Let us make man. This is the scripture where God was talking about creating the human. And when he talked about creating the human, he said, let us make man. And for me, the us in let us make man entails and implies to me that I should be assisting God with making men. And this is where the X for Boys comes into play. This is the new man-making machine in Albany, Georgia. We started the X for Boys program in January of 2019. Albany, Georgia is one of the poorest cities in the nation, and also Albany, Georgia has one of the highest crime rates in the nation. And so I took it upon myself to curb that by working with young men and boys in the community and teaching them how to work in the skilled trades, such as working on cars, fixing houses, simple home improvement, simple brake repair, oil changes, plumbing, anything of that nature, to try and help boys actually use their hands.
I appreciate King Randall for taking the time out of his life to give us young men the opportunity to do things that can help us be better men and better people in life.
The X for Boys is creating men that'll be self-sufficient, that will be able to protect their women and children, and will be able to go out and earn things for themselves. We do not teach victimhood. There is nobody holding us down. I am teaching the boys that they can go out and get whatever it is that they want when they want it to. They have the same Father as Jesus, and that is God. And so they are able to go and do whatever they want to. The scripture says, greater is the God that is in me than the God that's in the world. So it's up to us to teach them about the God that's in themselves and to create everything that they want. Let us make man. Follow us on social media at New Emerging King, and you can go to the xforboys.org for our website.
All right. A great follow on social media. And then I will point this out really quickly here. My VA lady said, just watched a King Randall video of him teaching his boys how to properly engage in a handshake when meeting somebody and having confidence. Absolutely. It's, yes, he does. He has a lot of great videos of, like, there's a video where he's showing the boys how to engage with the police and not have a negative interaction, like any more negative than it has to be. I mean, obviously, if you get pulled over, like, it's not positive, like nobody wants a ticket. But he's like, hey, look, at the end of the day, I want you to go home. So here's how to handle that situation so that you can go home, and more important, and then also important, so that you don't have any more trouble with, you know, the law enforcement or the legal system than you absolutely have to have. I mean, if you get pulled over for a speeding ticket, okay, let's leave it at a speeding ticket, right? Let's not make it worse. So he's got a bunch of videos for that, and he only operates on donations. So if that moves you, go check out his site and donate to him, help support his work. I think he does great work up there. So, all right, now, social media. So this is the post that I saw this from. Let me turn that down just a wee bit. All right. So that's the post that I saw it from, by Chief Nerd. And he said, my father passed away a few years ago, and what Steve Harvey says here is so true. And then he quotes Steve Harvey. He says, when a man's father dies, he realizes that the one man who truly wanted him to be better than him is gone. When my daddy died, I didn't have nobody to say they was proud of me. Okay? And that's what, and we heard that. And it's true. Like, my dad just recently got a pacemaker put in, and he's getting up there in age. He's not too old. You know, he's still a relatively young man in terms of these days, but he's, you know, he's getting up there. And there's going to be one day I'm going to be sitting in that same seat like Steve Harvey, and I'm going to be like, I just realized I have nobody that's like my dad. I think that's the underlying tone there. Nobody to say they were proud of me. Now, I still have my wife, still have my son, I still have my friends, and they play their role, but they're not the same as a dad. So one day that's going to be gone. So I'm trying to cherish every time he says he's proud of me. Like when we talk and he's like, yeah, you know, he's like, I'm proud of you for the man you've turned out to be. And that wasn't always the case. Maybe talk about a little bit more about that here in a moment. But let's get to some of these comments here. So Vigilant Fox said, I can't help but get the feels from this clip. Powerful words of wisdom. They are. And that clip should move you. Okay. And by the way, I linked in the show notes the whole podcast if you want to go and watch the whole podcast. Let's see. Ellie, even for women, there's something irreplaceable about the father-daughter relationship. I lost my dad a few years ago. Yeah, there is. Relationships are not a competition. Okay? The relationship that a son or daughter has with their father is unique in its own right, and it's different than one that they have with their mother. Okay? So just so you know, or their spouse when they get older. Right? These are all different relationships. They play a role in somebody's life. It's not a competition. Let's see. My dad never tells me he's proud of me. If that's you, if you're listening, I want you to continue listening because I have some thoughts on this after we get through these social media comments. This is the father I wish to be because this is the father I'd never had. That's breaking the cycle, right? But that's what we should do. If your parents did you wrong, your goal should be to break that cycle with your kids, right? Don't be bitter about it. You just gotta, and if your parents did you right, then your goal is to do right by your kids by being even better, which is also doing right by your parents. Because again, your dad, and maybe even your mom, but this is the dad show, your dad wants you to be better than him. Some of us don't even get one person, but we can be that person for our kids. Break the cycle. See what I mean? These are some good comments. A lot of times, that's why I changed the music, because I didn't want to use the clown music, because usually I'm kind of like poking at some of the comments that are on social media. But these are actually some good comments. They're insightful, or they have some sort of value. They're not to be made fun of. Life's short, fellas. Every son has some kind of beef with their dad, where we butt heads over something. It's true. Let it go, y'all. Cherish what you have. Forgive, heal, enjoy your time with what really matters. Totally agree. Like, to the best of your ability, do what you can to enjoy the relationships that you have for the time that you have. And it's not always possible. Like, there are times where a parent is so bad that it is the appropriate thing to do to cut them off. But if you can build a relationship, if you can keep a relationship, do it. If you have to, stop watching the show right now, call your daddy. Okay? Or your mama. Okay? I won't, trust me, I won't be mad. You can come back and watch the rest of the show later. Let's see. Some of us didn't have fathers and use this as a reminder of what we are and will be for our son. And of course, the underlying tone here is also your daughter. Okay? We are talking about a son here who's reflecting on his father. But these are the kind of posts that I love to see. Right? The ones that say, hey, I didn't have this, but I'm going to be this. Because it's hard. I don't even know how hard it is because I had it. I had a good dad. I mean, there were some rocky times early on where we didn't really get along. But I did have a dad that was there for me. And that, maybe I didn't hear I'm proud of you is enough when I was growing up. But he certainly made up for it once I got my act together. And once I made it easier, let's put it that way. Okay. And that's, again, we all have our role to play. We all have our failures. I'm not, suggesting that it was all me. It's not that, don't take it that way. I'm just saying, like, I'm in a good place with my dad. But maybe you're not. And maybe this video is the reminder that you can be better and that you should be better. My dad never said he was proud of me, even when I turned my life around. Nothing. I was not sad when he died. I didn't feel anything. I didn't even know him. Mother is the same. I go on. I have God who says it now. I'm glad you have somebody, you know? And again, there are situations where this might be the way that it plays out. So if you're a dad, your number one goal before you die is to make sure that this scenario does not happen. Your child, I'll say it. I'll be honest. We're objective on this show. If you die and you treated your children so poorly that they refuse to go to your funeral, you failed as a parent. Right? That's your job. Your job. You know, there is a conversation somewhere to be had about whether or not a child is being too bitter. But, you know, if you were so bad that they didn't show up to your funeral, you failed. So make sure that doesn't happen. And if you're still alive, you have time. My dad has been gone 28 years, and I still miss him every day. Life has forever changed without his presence. Mom is now 88, and I dread the day I lose her. That is, as a parent, that's what you should want your child to post online. That, hey, even after almost 30 years, I miss this one parent badly. And this other parent, I dread the day that they go. That's where I am. My mom passed in 2016, and I had a better relationship with my mom than my dad. And no foulness to my dad. I think my mom and I had a very similar personality, and so therefore we connected in a way that we connected in a particularly special way. Okay. And so when she died, I was crushed. I'm still kind of bitter over it. Okay? I haven't got over it. Universe, I'm angry at you. But my dad, you know, he's getting older, and I do not look forward to the day that he passes at all. Not a little bit. I don't want it to, I know it's coming. We can't do anything about it, but I dread that day. That will be an awful day because then I will have nobody. You know what I'm saying? I cherish the days that my dad says he's proud of me. Doesn't matter for what. I'm proud of you for holding down a job. Doesn't matter. I'm proud of you, son. Those are days that I cherish. There will come a day when the memory of them is all I have. Anyway, let's get my composure. Having trouble reading now. I know exactly how he feels, and I also haven't heard anyone say they are proud of me since my father died in 2010. Think about that. It's 2025. 15 years. This person hasn't heard somebody say they were proud of him. And even if you have a wife that says they're proud of you, again, it's different. It's way different. Kind of makes you hard in some healthy ways and some unhealthy ways. It does. It does harden you a little bit. And this is why, as fathers, our job is to live as long as possible. If I were to pass today, my son is 6, and that will harden him, the fact that his daddy passed away so early. But if I die when he's 60, which hopefully, because I'll be like 100, then he will have developed to a point where whatever hardening he has will be very limited. So if you're a dad out there, get healthy, stay healthy. It's your job to live as long as possible. You know, you can't, the universe does what it does. You can't control everything, right? Sometimes people die and there's nothing they could have done to stop it. But for the things that you have, for the The areas that you have control over, take control. Live as long as you can. Give your child the longest amount of time possible with you. Because the longer they have with you, the less bitter they will be, the less hard they will become after your passing. Some of us will never know if their father was proud, but the one thing I know is my son is proud of me. That's also important. Like, my son is 6, so I don't know. Like, it's nice to hear when he's like, Dad, I'm proud of you, which he says it sometimes. It's going to be way different than when he's 30 and he says it. Like, Dad, I'm proud of you for the way you raised me, for the whatever it is. Like, it'll definitely hit harder in a good way. My father has never once told me he was proud of me. In fact, our relationship is so strained that when he dies, I'm not going to the funeral. I would love to say, hey, man, go to your dad's funeral anyway. But I also have to recognize that if a parent has butchered that relationship so badly, that is the consequence. And if your child doesn't want to go to your funeral, you failed as a parent. And in this particular case, it says when he dies. So if you're a father that doesn't have a great relationship with your child and you're listening in, you're alive, figure it out. Call them up and tell them, you know, whatever you got to do, whatever you've got to say, so that this is not about just, hey, I want you to come to my funeral. That should just be the sign to you that, hey, I need to do something different, right? I haven't done right by my child. Okay, so you're not calling them up and asking for forgiveness so they'll show up at your funeral. That's just that's like the symptom of where you are. That's how it's expressed, right? So call up your kid and tell them. Just call them up. Be honest. Don't be lying. Be honest and say, son, daughter, I'm proud of you, and I apologize that I haven't told you that enough or ever. And I want you to know, even if you never speak to me again, I'm proud of you. That's all. Don't expect anything from them. The moment you expect something from that, you screwed it up. Being proud of your child comes with zero strings. None. Zero. You're just proud to be proud. That's it. They will take it from there. And hopefully they will do the right thing. Right? But it has to be honest. And honest means you just call them up and you just tell them. You know? Do what you can. But if you think that your child won't come to your funeral, go fix that. Turn the show off. Come back to it later. Go fix it. I lost my father in 2008. I still find myself starting to dial the phone to call him to share the news. Good or bad, he always told it the way it was. I felt very much that way about my mom. I used to talk to my mom like practically every day. I would call her up, I would talk to her, and then one day she passed. And then, you know, even to this day, 10 years later, I wish that I could like grab the phone and talk to her, call her up. Like, she never got to see this show. My dad was on the show. He's seen the show. He was in this room on the show. It was great. I don't remember the episode, but it was, I think it was like Dad Talk Mr. C joins the show or something like that. Man, this hit home. Lost my dad too, and nothing compares to that silence when the one person who always wanted you to win is gone. These are great comments. I mean, not all of them, most of them. They're all great in the sense that they tell you how people feel about their parents. They tell you about the importance of a dad. In that sense, they're all great. I'm humbled to say that on our last good day together in July of 2009, I was 52. Before the cancer really got to him, my dad told me how proud he was of me and the way I've lived my life. Think about that. That's something. That is something. Those are some great comments. All right. I'm gonna end this show here on hopefully a more positive note. So there were a couple comments in there that were like, my dad never told me he was proud of me. So here's what I want to say to you. If you are a productive member of society, productive meaning like you could be a garbage man. And I'm not demeaning that. I'm just saying like a lot of people don't think of, when we think of like somebody that's really contributing to society, we think of like a doctor, a lawyer, a Supreme Court justice, you know. But actually the garbage man is pretty damn important too, you know. But we tend to look at it like, that's a lesser job. So in that context, even if you're a garbage man, you are a productive member of society. You contribute. And if you're a generally good person, and I mean this in a very simple sense, like you go to work, you do your job, you come home, maybe you have a wife, maybe you have children, whatever, right? You try to do well. You teach your kid how to play ball, you know, or maybe you don't have a kid, right? Maybe you're just a person that you go to work, you come home, you try to be a good person, you take care of your house, you wave at your neighbor, you say hello to them. If somebody needs help, you try to help them out. You know, the very simple basics of being a good person. If you're a productive member of society, wherever that is, if you're generally a good person, I, Liberty Dad, am proud of you. You might say, well, you don't even know me. You're right. I don't. I don't know you. And that's why I gave that's why I put these conditions in there. Okay, because I don't know you. And I wanted to make sure that I could say something and mean it. So without knowing you, if you fit those two criteria, whatever makeup you have for a family, or even if you don't yet have a family, maybe you're a single guy and you're going to be single forever, you're just not interested in whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay? You're a man and you're productive. You have a job, any job. I don't really care. Okay? I don't care if you're a garbage man or if you're a high-powered lawyer. Doesn't matter to me. I don't care if you dig ditches or you get on the Supreme Court. Okay? Or if you become the president of the United States. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me what you... Productive is productive. And if you're a good person to the people around you, whoever they are, whether it's your family, whether it's just your friends, your neighbors, right? You're just, in general, a good person. I'm proud of you. And my wife will tell you, I don't say things that I don't mean. Okay? If I have a thought about something, I'll shoot you straight. So this is not just me saying it to be saying it. I mean it. For those two things, I am proud of you, even if I don't know you. And I want you to clip this. And I want you to listen to it. If you never had a dad, say, I'm proud of you. And you just listen to it and you say, man, that Liberty Dad, he's proud of me. And if I ever meet you and you say, DL, I listened to that show and I'm glad you told me that, I will shake your hand and I will look you in the eye, man to man. And I will say, I'm proud of you. Not for watching my show. I'm just like that's a benefit. That's a bonus elsewhere. That has nothing to do with this, right? I am proud of you for being a productive member of society and a good person. Now, let me address if you're not. Maybe you're in jail. I know you're probably not in jail watching the show, but maybe you just got out of jail and you did some terrible things in your life. If you are actively working toward becoming a productive member of society, and you are actively working toward becoming a good person, and you really are repentant for the evil things that you've done, and you're like, man, I look back on my life and I've done some terrible things. I don't care what they are. If you are putting in the effort to be a good person, a better person than you were, then I'm also proud of you. And if I ever meet you, I will shake your hand and tell you, I'm proud of you. I will. Not lying. Hold me to it. Okay? Because you need to hear it. So again, if you are a good person and you are a productive member of society, I'm proud of you for what you have become. If you have failed at life so far, and you are actively working on being a better member of society, a productive member, and actively working on being a generally good person, I'm also proud of you for putting in that work and recognizing what potential that you have. And I mean it. No joke. All right, let's see. Got some comments in here. I'll just read it here real quick. Question, DL, does watching YouTube Shorts also go toward your 3,000 watch hours? No, that's its own category. And that's like 3 million. Like you need like 3 million views or something like that for your shorts. So that doesn't count. And because I'm so low, I don't really put out a lot of shorts, and it's just hard. So there's that. All right, folks, that's my show. I hope you found it informative and inspiring. And whether you're watching me live or you're watching later, I want you to come back and drop a comment about your thoughts on the show. But not just any comment on this episode. I want you to just come in and just say, I appreciate you. No, let me think. Let me think about this. If you're a man, I'm trying to think of how the most humble way to do this. If you're a man, drop a comment in there and then just say, I got it. I figured it out. If you're a man, come back and just say, hey, I'm a productive member of society and I'm a good person. That's it. You know? Or however you want to say it. You can say, hey, man, I got a great job and a great family. Well, however, or if you've been bad, really bad, maybe, come in and say, hey, I've done some terrible things, but I'm actively working on it. And every single comment that does that, I will genuinely and honestly tell you that I'm proud of you. Directly. Every single one. I don't care if there's a million comments, right? It might, if they all flood in, then I might give me some time to get to them. But I will, every man that comes in and says, you know what? Here's where I am in life. And if you're one of those two, you either are in a good position or you're working toward that best, if you're your best self or even somewhere close, or you're actively working on being a better you, tell me. And I will personally tell you that I'm proud of you, and I will mean it. But with that, we're going to close, and I will see you guys Monday morning. You know that I'm all about supporting organizations that hold my values. Make sure you head on over to blackgunsmatter.shop. They've got apparel, out to score a 10% discount, or just hit the referral link in the show notes. That'll make it so much easier. Remember, I'm not just a voice on a mic. I'm a dad who's working hard to deliver to you the best libertarian content. Connect with me on Linktree, where you'll find links to my Patreon and buy me a coffee, because every bit helps keep this show rolling. Plus, you can find me on my other platforms to stay in the loop. With your help, this show, The Message of Liberty, will be seen and heard by more people. As always, I appreciate you tuning in and look forward to seeing you in the next episode.